I raced my first ever half marathon in 1 hour 41:46 in November 2021 and my latest one in 1 hour 21:36 this September. So I've improved my PB by 20 minutes, which originally was really a dream to go from 141 to 121, but somewhere along the way I got close enough to make it a goal, and it actually happened sooner than I expected. And when I reach a running milestone, I like to reflect on it. So of course I've been looking back at my training, what moved the needle, especially as I seem to have progressed faster in the past 18 months. So I identified 5 key changes that got me to where I am now, and I thought I'd share them in this video. A bit of background if you're new here. So I did not grow up running. I started running seriously, I would say, in my late 20s. I started running regularly in 2020, but then seriously following a training plan and training for my first ever 10K race in 2021. At first I was following generic training plans, as in PDFs that I would buy. I bought the Ben Parks 10K and then half marathon training plan. Towards the end of 2022, that's when my partner Ben, who's a really good runner with years of experience in endurance sports under his belt, started coaching me. And since I raced my very first half marathon in November 2021, I have been on a half marathon PB streak. Every time I have raced this distance, I have managed to set a new PB so far. I have race vlogs for every single race I took part in. It's all on record. You can go watch them. I don't really know how much longer I will be able to keep this streak going. It is becoming increasingly difficult. I will put all my half marathon finish times on the screen. I feel like out of all those races, there have been 2 breakthroughs in particular that reflected training and racing changes that I will cover in this video. So the first one was when I went sub 90 for the first time in October 2023 at Valencia Half. The second one was also Valencia Half in 2024, where I ran 85 minutes for the first time. And I kind of feel like since then, I have been riding this momentum. I've been on this upward trajectory with my most recent times. Now there is something I need to say before we get into the main topic of this video, because context is important. If you've watched my videos before, you know that I'm gonna have to talk about consistency. It is the name of the game. The thing is, talking about consistency doesn't sell you the dream, because it is not an overnight success. It is not a quick fix. And I am not here to sell you the dream. I want to be here to show you that consistency takes you places, even if you start running later in life. And where I'm going with this is that my running progress stems from running consistently and building up gradually. It has been years in the making, one stepping stone after the other. If I hadn't been patient and running consistently for years, the first element I'm about to talk about would not have been possible, and that is higher mileage. So many runners who are looking to improve their running times are trying to increase their weekly mileage because it helps you develop your aerobic base, builds your durability as a runner, and helps you race faster. Now it's all well and good, but if you do this too quickly, you will find yourself a spot on the injury bench, or you will end up burnt out. In the span of 4 years, I went from running about 50 kilometers a week to now 100 to 110 kilometers per week. And I recently made a video on how I doubled my weekly mileage, covering all the consistency and training habits that helped me do it, I believe, successfully, because touch wood, so far I've never had an actual running injury. So you can watch this video for more on this topic, but to give you an idea of what the volume progression looked like throughout my different half marathon training blocks. So when I was training for my first half marathon in 2021, my biggest week was 68 kilometers. And then jumping to 2023, when I was training for Valencia Half, where ultimately I ran my first sub 90, my biggest week was 80 kilometers. So in those first couple of years, not much mileage increase really, and that is because I didn't have much running experience. Now the following half marathon training block, which was spring 2024 for Malaga Half, where I ran 88:13, my peak week was 85. And then October last year, Valencia Half, peak week was 90 kilometers, another 5K step up. Now moving on to March this year, when I ran 83 at Malaga Half, biggest week was just shy of 97, it was like 96.6. And then this summer, that's when we reached 100 kilometers. And since then, I have done a bunch of those 100 to 112 kilometer weeks. And off the back of those big weeks, I ran my current half marathon PB at Copenhagen last month 81:36. The next training change that really became a focus in summer 2023 and ultimately helped me break 90 minutes, I really think, is the long run workouts. And that's really my favorite thing about half marathon training, is those long runs where you inject some intensity and you practice running on tired legs, so you hopefully get used to what it's going to feel like when you're in the last 4 to 5 kilometers of your half marathon race. Now, these long runs do add intensity to your week, so if you're already doing 2 speed sessions a week, you're adding kind of like a mini workout inside your long run. That's an extra layer of intensity, more stress on your body, potentially more injury risk. So we only started doing that for me in 2023, because before, simply, I don't think I was ready. Example, this one from the Valencia half prep last year. So that was a 21 kilometer run workout, 5k easy, 8k on the fast end of my steady pace, 5k tempo, 3k easy. I've been progressing and able to handle more intensity now. Ben has been making my long run workouts harder by adding some half marathon effort in those, which by our personal definition, half marathon effort is really on the pointy end of my tempo pace, almost faster than what we consider to be my tempo pace in training. I even sometimes have some 10k effort blocks in my long run workouts. So to give you a recent example from a few weeks ago, 22 kilometer long run, 40 minutes easy, 25 on the fast end of my steady pace, 15 minutes at half marathon effort, and then 5 minutes at 10k effort, and then finishing easy. So I document my training. This is what I do on this channel. So if you look at my half marathon training videos, you will find plenty of examples of long run workouts, and also all of my training is on Strava. The third key change is fueling, both in training and racing. I used to be so scared of taking gels. Did my first few half marathon races with no fuel at all, and I am not someone who can have a huge pre-race breakfast, and I also don't really do like a proper carb loading protocol before a half marathon. I really think that if I had started to fuel earlier, if I had managed to get over my fear of gels earlier, I maybe would have progressed a little faster. Really could have done with at least a 30-gram carb gel. Now, thankfully, over the years, especially the past 18 months, I would say, I really worked on getting over my fear of gels, practiced in training a lot. Now I'm at the point where I would say I am actually proactively fueling in training, in my sessions, and of course in my long runs. First time I took a gel in a race was, again, when I went sub 90 in Valencia in 2023. This time it was a Velo Forte gel, so I think those are like 24 grams. And then the first time I took 2 gels in a race was Valencia half last year, where I went 85 minutes. I took 2 precision gels, that was 60-gram carbs, and since then, every half marathon I've raced, that's what I've done. Fourth key element where we made changes that I really believe paid off for my half marathon progress is the speed sessions. Now, for whatever distance you're training for at the minute, you need a variety of sessions, and to train through the whole spectrum of paces, you need sessions where you'll be running faster than race pace, but you also need those sessions that are longer reps, slower pace, kind of like tempo style. And I feel like specifically in the past 12 to 18 months, we've really put more focus on these sessions that feel like half marathon effort. I have at least once a week a session that is like tempo style half marathon effort. Plus I've got this type of effort also injected into my long run workouts. So for instance, a session I've done quite a few times is 3 by 10 minutes. It used to be 3 by 8 minutes, but as I've progressed now, we've bumped it up to 3 by 10. Also 4 by 2k tempo is a good one. A type of session that is fairly new to my training. I've only started doing those this year. We call these sessions fatigued kilometers because I start by a long steady block. So after the warm-up, I do 20 minutes on the fast end of my steady pace. That does build fatigue in the legs before I move on to kilometer reps. And then I've got 4 by 1k, or more recently 5 by 1k tempo effort. And last but not least, and it's quite a broad category, it's mindset changes in training, but that had a ripple effect into my racing that came from maturing as a runner. Putting it simply, I am no longer trying to run my race in training. My approach now is that when I'm doing a session, I am building, I am not racing, I am not trying to prove anything, I am simply building my fitness. And I used to be really stubborn and want to hit race pace in training. I no longer do that, and I think it has done wonders for my mindset and just the way I approach my training. I've had this approach for a while, but I think I only realized the importance of it last year after I ran 85 minutes at Valencia half, because not once in training, whether it was during my efforts in my long run workouts or in my long tempo reps, did I hit the pace that I was able to maintain during that race for the whole 21 kilometers. So it showed me that by training to effort, I had been building my fitness without wiping myself out, and therefore I was probably recovering better and ultimately showing up ready to race. So when I raced my very first half marathon, it was off the back of limited running experience, limited lifetime mileage. Of course, I was always going to improve by sticking to it. And it is that consistency over the past few years that has allowed to take my training to the next level, made it possible to make the changes I talked about in this video and allow further progress. So I am now 2 weeks out from Valencia half. I am getting a bit nervous because can I extend the half marathon PB streak? Can I keep this going? Oh, I really hope, and I hope I'm gonna have a good race. And on that note, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!